Democrats' controlled narrative is falling like Biden off of a bicycle. All of their attempts to switch everyone's attention onto January 6th and believing their controlled narrative that Trump is this big bad villain that tried to run a coup and tried to overthrow a true and fair election in 2020, it's crumbling like never before. Why? Because most Americans don't really care about tuning into primetime TV that ABC puts on for their clown show of these January 6th hearings, when Americans are too worried about figuring out how they're going to afford food for their house, for their children, and gas for their vehicles. People are panicking on the economy. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is going on bicycle rides and going to the beach. I don't think that that's what the American people want to see at this time period when we're all very nervous about the economy, nervous about inflation. Bitcoin has been literally crashing. So this is something that we definitely are wanting to hear from the president about. We're wanting to hear his administration do something to address these concerns of ours. And meanwhile, we're just seeing a clown show. We're seeing an attempt to switch everyone's attention away, and it is utterly failing. Now, Joe Biden, recently, we know that he had the bicycle fall where he literally just falls off the bike. It's ridiculous. I mean, it looks like he hits his head pretty hard too. But let's examine what happened leading up to that. So leading up to that, there was a White House press conference with Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, and she was being questioned over and over again by the media about Biden. And at that time period, people were already questioning whether or not Biden would be fit for 2024 because of his age and how old he's going to be. He's going to be closer to 90 at the end of a 4-year term. And so people are like, all right, let's get rid of this guy. I mean, he's getting senile, dementia, Alzheimer's ridden, and it's starting to become a problem. And we saw this infighting, which we covered in the last Millennial Millie show episode, where we saw these Democrats kind of at each other's throat over whether they're allowed to even address the elephant in the room, so to speak. Well, I guess in this case, the donkey in the room, the jackass in the room. So let's go to this clip with Jean-Pierre and her battling these media journalists trying to ask questions about Joe Biden. What is going on here? Bear with me right now. Having a little bit of tech difficulties. See if I can get this up. Okay, there we go. We're good. All right, so let's go to this clip.
An answer to that?
I did. It's a regular cadence. That's what we do. We will share per CDC when he is a close contact, and he has not been a close contact. If he were a close contact, we will let you know.
Again, I'm just confused because in the past you guys have always told us the date of the most recent test. So why can't you tell us the date of the most recent test?
Right now, I'm telling you he has a regular cadence. I just don't have a date to share with you, but he does have a regular weekly cadence.
We trust that as soon as you find out today, your staff
We
will share with us.
we will be transparent about that. But he does have a weekly cadence. I just don't have a day in front of you of when he was last tested.
As soon as you go back there and find out the date, you'll share with us, you're saying?
I'm not saying that. I'm telling you that he has a weekly cadence.
That's my question. Why has that changed? Because in the past, they always told us.
Well, we have always said it's a weekly cadence. We have always said that.
But Jen would say it happened on Tuesday, just yesterday he had a test, or on Sunday he was tested, it was negative.
But he hasn't been a close contact. What we have said now is that if he is a close contact, according to the CDC, what close contact of that the definition of a close contact, we will share that with you. And then that's when his testing cadence would change. His testing cadence has not changed. He gets tested once a week. I don't have the date in front of me at this time.
So he gets tested once a week. That's because in the past
It's
it's been more regular than that.
No, it actually has never. It's always been a weekly cadence of getting tested.
So he's only been tested once a week for the entirety of the time the president...
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is what we normally do is he gets tested.
So we saw this back and forth between the Biden press secretary and the media about whether or not Biden had been tested for COVID, whether or not he's been exposed to COVID, and she was kind of unwilling to give a straight answer as to whether or not Biden has been positive for COVID, and usually they openly just tell people, give them an update on his test results and when he's been tested. And so they were definitely coming off very secretive in this press conference that they were having. And this all makes sense now that we know that recently Biden's National Security Advisor John Sullivan recently just tested positive for COVID-19. So it makes sense as to why we saw the media really questioning, because they wanted to get the scoop on, ooh, did Biden catch COVID? So we saw all of this talk about concerns of Biden's health, right? And so what do? They do some press narrative control, so a media splash. Let's do a big publicity stunt, so to speak, where we have Biden riding a bicycle, showing how physically fit he is, that, you know, who cares if he's older, he's young, he's vigorous, look at him go. So let's look at this Biden attempt at a publicity stunt flop. And down he goes, just like the economy. So, I mean, I would think that the headline should read, Biden falls down and brings the U.S. economy with him. You know, that would be appropriate. But no, of course, they're just going to try to dust it off and just... It reminds me of Hillary Clinton when she fell after that 9/11 stunt where they tried to make it look like she was so vigorous and healthy. And no, there wasn't any concern over her health, because remember, she had that coughing and hacking event at that fair in Ohio, at that fairground where she kind of commandeered their fair event and turned it into one of her speaking events in order to make people think that she had support from the Black American community. And in fact, she just ended up coughing, hacking, spitting up a big loogie into a glass. It was really quite disgusting. I was there. I filmed the whole thing. Okay. And they literally had a little gurney parked right behind her tent waiting for her. It was insane. And so then, to dispel the rumors that Hillary was sick and having health problems, they then very quickly, like a day or so after, had her go to this like 9/11 memorial. And that was the famous footage where you see her just wobbling and tripping into that black van. And at that point, they then had to admit that, yes, she was sick. I think they said she was dealing with some kind of a pneumonia or some kind of an illness. And so this reminds me of that so much, where you have everyone in the media questioning Biden on his health, on his vigor, on whether or not he's fit. You hear people talking about the 25th Amendment with him. And then next thing you know, they do this publicity stunt and he just falls off the bicycle right where he's supposed to be meeting with the media. I mean, look at all the people there filming, because they're like, yeah, we're going to film this moment where Biden's rolling up from this bike trail, and look, it shows how physically fit he is, and he just falls right off the bicycle. It's pretty sad. And then, of course, you have another video that recently came out today where Joe Biden is at the beach. So once again, I think they're trying to show, look, he's out doing things. He's not just in some basement or laying in some bed like somebody who's not very mobile. They're wanting to look like he's very mobile, he's active, and he's at the beach here, and he, at this point, puts his foot in his mouth pretty bad, I would say, and kind of gets into it with a reporter. But one of the most alarming things he talked about here was that they're going to increase taxes. He's planning to increase taxes on individuals as it relates to Trump's tax cut. So about 82% of middle-class taxpayers in America received a tax cut under Trump's tax cuts, and he plans to undo that. So that's his way of fixing everything. He thinks, those people who can afford a boat or yacht or whatever, they shouldn't be getting any tax breaks or tax cuts. That's not going to help the economy. Instead, we're going to tax them more. Yeah, okay, so that's going to help the economy. Many of those middle income people are small business owners, so it's not going to be pretty, I'm telling you. So take a look at this clip where Biden is telling us the good news on the relief he plans to give Americans.
Increasing taxes on those in the in the corporate area as well as the individuals as it relates to Trump's tax cut, which is inflationary. Going out and buying a yacht doesn't help the economy a whole lot. We also increasing taxes on those in the corporate area as well as the individuals as it relates to Trump's tax cut, which is inflationary.
So there you have it, okay? And at one point, when he's questioned about a recession, whether or not he thinks we're going into a recession, he gets into it with a reporter, a female reporter. Check it out.
That's my press secretary daughter.
I promise. Recession's even more likely than ever.
Not the majority of them aren't saying that. Come on, don't make things up, okay? Now you sound like a Republican politician. I'm joking. That was a joke. But all kidding aside, no, I don't think it is. I was talking to Larry Summers this morning, and there's nothing inevitable about a recession. Here's what I think we're going to be able to do. I think we're going to be able to get a change in Medicare and a reduction in the cost of insulin. Insulin, if you know anybody who has type 2 diabetes or has a child that has it, they need those shots during the week. It can cost them up to $1,000 a week. It need not cost more than $35. And they still...
Okay, so in that clip, he kind of comes off as a bit of a grumpy old man, doesn't he? When he's fielding these questions. I think it's a valid question. Are we looking into a recession? Are we going to see the economy fail? People are worried. They want answers to those questions, and he just wants to insult people and say, oh, you must be a Republican if you're talking like that. That's not a good response. We should be able to have a direct answer from him about how the economy is going to be doing better and what he's doing to address that. He should be in the White House right now working his butt off, trying to figure out whatever he can do to address the problems facing the nation economically right now. But instead, when he's going on these bike rides, these beach trips, all these vacations, Biden has vacationed more than any president, and yet we're dealing with some of the worst problems right now in the nation, and he should be addressing these, not vacationing. But hey, I don't want to give their publicity team any idea, so I'll just be quiet. But the reality is this is more important that these problems are addressed, because right now American families are suffering. They're having to choose between whether or not they're going to put food on their table or gas in their tank. And that's never a good situation. We had the baby food, the baby formula shortage crisis going on. And now, of course, we've got food shortages. And recently in Kansas, due to the heat wave, we saw 10 to 20,000 cattle drop dead, which is suspicious in itself. I'm not going to lie. And I'm telling you, the one thing that makes me just question whether or not all these cattle just happen to die all at once from a heat stroke or a heat wave in Kansas, is that we didn't hear about other animals dying. We just heard about the cattle dying. So wouldn't you see other animals, pets, dogs, cats, maybe birds, maybe goats, who knows, other animals, horses, dropping of heat stroke related illness as well? Why is it just the cattle from these particular cattle farms? And it makes you wonder what's going on. Now, I've heard a couple different theories from people as to why this might be happening. And one of the ones I found the most interesting was someone brought up that the cost of grain has gone up, and it could potentially have something to do with the cost of grain. And maybe some of these cattle farmers think that they would rather the cattle perish and then be able to collect insurance on it than lose money in continuing to feed them when, you know, grain has gone up and other things have gone up in general. So, I mean, I've heard that theory. I've heard some like bios theory that there's some virus. I don't think it's that. that sounds pretty unlikely to me. It could most likely be due to farmers insurance. I know a lot of farms around the area where I'm at in Ohio, which usually every single year you see crops planted. Crops are growing this time of year. You'd see corn, or you'd see soy or wheat or something. Like literally all the fields around here in Ohio, which is normally like booming with crops this time of year, are just, they just let them go. I mean, it's just grass. And so that's concerning to me. And what I've just been hearing from a lot of people is that they're being given some kind of government incentive to not grow, or that it's unfeasible right now, or it's too expensive right now. So there's something going on here that obviously merits more investigation. So I'm definitely going to be looking more into that. All right, so let's talk more about Bitcoin. So we know that Bitcoin has had an epic crash recently, and it's not good. A lot of cryptocurrencies have all crashed as well. It's not just Bitcoin. And although they wouldn't say it necessarily is considered a crash, like it hasn't fully just went under, but it seemed to have gone down to as low as 17,000, which is pretty low considering its all-time high was about 60,000, and it was kind of hovering for a good while around 40, 44, and then this past year it's kind of been in like the 30 or 39 range, 39,000 range. And so for it to then just rapidly dip down to 17, that is, I would think, it's a crash. It's a very big fall in the crypto world, and it kind of bounced a little bit back up and stabilized at around like 20,000 right now. But we don't know if that's going to just be a temporary thing or if it's going to go further down. Some analysts and experts have theorized that this is like a dead cat bounce, which is when like it's like it just kind of lulls for a second here, and then that it might go down further. But we really don't know at the end of the day. They're saying that unless the price of Bitcoin closes above 23,000 on a daily time frame basis, then we're likely to see this continue to go down. And that's not good because a lot of people have invested a lot of their finances and their money in Bitcoin. And so that further just means more Americans are losing money. And that's never good. We don't want to see people losing money, losing their life savings, and suffering economically like this in this time period. And obviously there are other cryptocurrencies as well, like Crowcoin is seriously down. Ethereum is down. A lot of these coins, guys, I mean, it seemed like the market overall, like, some of the cheaper coins too, like the Shiba coin, Dogecoin, all that stuff's down overall as a whole. So yeah, the volatility of crypto is turning out to not be very good, especially in a time period where people are kind of hesitant about the market right now. You would think that you'd want to see more like stability in Bitcoin when, you know, it would be an opportunity. I guess what I'm trying to say is you would think that there might be an opportunity for more people to get into Bitcoin when you see right now the U.S. economy, U.S. inflation situation going on. But apparently in this situation, it has had a bad effect on Bitcoin. All right, now let's go into the entertainment industry now. So Hollywood and their wokeism just won't stop, despite having failed at every attempt to be woke and to push wokeness on Americans. Their recent failed attempt to push wokeness on Americans has been the Buzz Lightyear movie. So Buzz Lightyear, we all know from Toy Story, a very loved film, that, you know, we liked Buzz Lightyear to infinity and beyond, right? We liked that stuff. But now Pixar and Disney had other plans. They decided, let's push an LGBTQ agenda on children that are just innocently watching a cartoon about a spaceman, right? And so I guess this piece is supposed to be like the true story of Buzz Lightyear, whereas like Toy Story was like an action figure of Buzz Lightyear. So this is like Buzz Lightyear as a man. But as you can see here in this image, there's this scene where they have two women kissing that are in like an LGBTQ relationship. And this is more of just that idea that we've been seeing where the progressives have really wanted to push, be it in children's books or now films. They want to push these stories where you see more gay couples, LGBTQ couples, push that culture on families. And so I don't think that they were expecting it to be as bad and to bomb as bad in the theaters as it did, but it really did. It really bombed in the theaters. And 14 countries have actually banned Pixar's Lightyear movie over the gay kiss scene, so they're not happy about it. And Chris Evans, who does the voice for Buzz Lightyear, he's fuming about it. He's not happy about it. And so you can clearly see all the memes and the liberals losing their minds over how this film is being canceled in other countries and how this film is not getting the attention that they wanted. Now, here's an interesting article. It says, woke Lightyear flops in box office, proving Americans are fed up with wokeness. So here we just see how, compared to other films, such as the newer Top Gun Maverick film, which did over 800 million worldwide, the Lightyear film did around 50 million, which is not good. Yeah, 51 million over its 3-day opening. So that is really poor compared to how good films usually do on their box office weekend. Right now, the Jurassic Park movie is doing considerably better as well. And so Maverick, which, Top Gun Maverick, it actually didn't push any wokeness. It pushed traditional love for veterans and for the American military or Air Force, and it was more traditional in the sense. And it had conservative values within the film. And of course, it doing over 800 million worldwide, it did really well, considerably well. And obviously the woke film, the SJW film, did not do well. And so this kind of critique was a very interesting read because they're they're talking about how Hollywood needs to kind of get a clue that although the wokeness seems to do well on social media, which I think is all artificial with bots and them rigging vote counts and view counts and all that stuff. But whenever they see woke films or wokeness in sports, it does horribly well. And that's one thing. You can't fake people actually physically going and attending a movie at a box office and paying for tickets to see a movie. You can't fake that as easily as you can fake views on videos on social media and fake comments with bots and fake likes with bots and things. All that stuff can be easily faked. And so you cannot fake it when it comes to people actually paying at a box office. And so clearly we can actually see the real demographic or the real marketplace for woke ideas when we see it not in a setting or system that's rigged to have it seem like it's the dominant force or the dominant trend. Clearly it is not. So this is always a good thing to see, guys. And here's the other thing. Here's the other reason why I'm happy to see them fail is because they actually they didn't go with Tim Allen, the original voice of Buzz Lightyear, because of his conservative views. So they passed on him and said, no, we're going to go with Chris Evans because he's woke. So all the more reason, just don't take your kid to go see that film. Okay? We don't need to be exposing our kids to this nonsense, and we don't need to be supporting woke culture. Let it fail in a system where it's not rigged. Of course, on social media, where it's rigged, they can continue to make it look like it's the dominant thing. But this is another clue. And the reason why I'm even talking about that film, which I normally don't cover entertainment, Hollywood stuff as much, but the reason it's important and the reason why I brought it up as an example is because it's another little tell or a bird's eye view into this whole situation where we see how they artificially inflate things on social media and how they can rig it on social media, whereas in a setting where they can't rig it, it's clear that the American people don't want the wokeness. They don't like that. Just as though if we didn't have any election meddling or election rigging, it would be very clear as to who our president actually is. All right, so let's continue on to more Hollywood wokeness, which is just obnoxious as it gets, but we need to talk about it because clearly we're dealing with these people. So Ben Stiller, I think his name is. He's a Hollywood celebrity. Correct me if I got his name wrong, but I believe that's his name. He went and met with Vladimir Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, because we know how much the left-wing media really wants to make Zelensky out to be this hero, this defender of democracy in Ukraine over this battle with Putin. So let's just watch this obnoxious butt-kissing that this Hollywood celebrity does when he meets Zelensky.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Really nice to meet you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for taking the time.
Great
Yeah.
honor for me.
No.
We know you very well.
It's
Yes.
a great honor for me, and nice to see you. It's really wonderful. You're my hero. You're
No,
amazing.
no,
Yes.
no, I'm
No. As you quit a great acting career for this.
Not so great as you.
No, but pretty great.
Thanks so much.
But what you've done and the way that you've rallied the country and what for the world, it's really inspiring. So.
It's too much for me. Chief of office. Yeah.
Hello. Nice.
He says, "You're my hero. You quit your acting career for this?" Okay, maybe that was a joke, but that was also kind of weird. Yeah, it's just obnoxious to see the butt kissing that goes on. Why is he your hero, Ben Stiller? Can you elaborate? Like, what has he done that is so great? I'd like to know. All right, so let's continue on. Jennifer Lopez has displayed her wokeness at her recent concert when she referred to her teen daughter as they and them. Her teen daughter is clearly a girl. Her name is Emmy Maribel Munez, and she's, I guess, the love child or the daughter of J-Lo and her ex-husband, Mark Anthony. And so during this on-stage appearance with her and her daughter, she referred to her daughter the entire time as they and them. Okay, so it's more of just signaling that they're going to go along with this indoctrination, this they-them stuff. This is what she said. "The last time we performed together was in a big stadium like this, and I asked them to sing with me all the time, and they won't. So this is a very special occasion. They are very, very busy, booked, and pricey." So yeah, they cost me when they come out. Like, all this emphasis on they, which to me is really confusing. I don't understand why for the whole pronoun thing, you use a pronoun which means multiple people. So why would you be using the pronoun they? Like, to me, that just is confusing. Are you multiple people or are you one person? I mean, are they referring to, is there something more going on here? I don't know, but it's just confusing. It doesn't make any sense to me. It would make more sense to say it or something, but why they? I guess it's less confusing than some of the other gender pronouns that people use, like Z, or sometimes people make up their own. I've heard all kinds of weird ones where people make up their own pronouns and whatnot. So, moving on here. Enough of the Hollywood wokeness that's just utterly failing. But, sorry, there's one more. Sorry to torture you guys. Stephen Colbert, but this one's actually funny, okay? And is called Karma. So we saw the video footage where Stephen Colbert was totally like, frothing at the mouth. "I'm so excited that there's the January 6th committee hearings. I want to see Trump go down so bad." Like, he literally has this like weird demon grin on his face. And so he just couldn't resist it. But he sends a team of his crew into the Capitol, the U.S. Capitol, during the January 6th hearings. And here's where things got to be a bit of a problem and really backfired in the left-wing people's faces. So 7 people working for Stephen Colbert were arrested and charged with unlawful entry after being caught and escorted at about 8:30 p.m. So the reason why this is a problem is because that's the exact same charge that the vast majority of people who walked into the Capitol, whether knowingly or unknowingly, on January 6th, were also charged with unlawful entry inside the U.S. Capitol. So isn't that ironic, right? This is the debacle now that they're having with narrative control. How do they continue to really play up the seriousness of this unlawful entry charges that these Trump supporters got? How do they play it up as an insurrection, a violent act, a terrible act, when here comes Stephen Colbert and his crew going and walking around the Capitol, harassing Republican senators and congressmen with, I believe it was with the Triumph the Insult Dog, just from what I've heard, but that's unconfirmed. And so going in and harassing Republicans, trying to like make a bid or whatever at them, getting the same exact charges that the Democrats are hailing as the insurrection led by Trump and his insurrectionist Trump supporters, it becomes a bit of a problem for narrative control. And it becomes totally ironic because, I'm telling you what, if the Republican congressmen, senators, whatever, when they actually finally get around to having their own hearings or getting to rebut some of what the Democrats have done with this sham January 6th hearing, you better believe they're going to be bringing that up and throwing that in their face. That, you know, your media people, your Stephen Colbert crew of woke, controlled media artists that put out media with an agenda, they all got arrested for the same thing. So how can you play this up that this was a violent insurrection when it's basically, you know, here they go, getting charged with the exact same thing? It's just ironic, okay? It is, I think, instant karma, especially with how boastful Stephen Colbert was and how prideful and arrogant he was and how excited he was to see this sham clown show go on within the January 6 hearings. Now, the January 6 hearings are failing epically, okay? This is not good for the Democrats. They're panicking over this because episode 3 has aired on Thursday and hardly anyone has been watching it. We know that even with the very first day for their January 6th publicized hearings, which they had ABC producers put this primetime piece together, we know that it got less than about 20 million views, which is really not a lot, okay? It was, I guess in comparison, it was more than their, like, Golden Globes or Grammys that they have, which isn't really saying much. Or I guess it's more than like the Oscars and those things, which isn't saying much because we know that their ratings have actually gone into the toilet more recently. They have been having a really hard time getting people to want to tune into those. And gee, you don't think it's because of the wokeness that's being perpetuated in these big ceremonies that they have? But their analysts and the people really looking into this, they're saying that they are struggling really hard to get Americans to tune out and to tune away from their daily lives and the struggle that they're dealing with gas prices, food shortages, the economy, inflation, everything else, to then decide, I'm going to go watch this January 6th hearing, when many of the people polled believe that we should move on and that a lot of people believe that it's entirely biased as well. So, you know, clearly they recently had a poll come out and they said that, you know, so many people, 60% of people think that Trump, you know, should be indicted or Trump should be arrested for January 6th. And we know that these polls are rigged because remember, the people doing the polls were like, Hillary Clinton was going to win by a landslide in 2016. And I just remember at that time period going to her speaking events versus Trump's massive rallies and seeing the clear difference between her having hardly anyone, him having massive overflows of people, and being like, yeah, no, there's no way the polls are true and correct on that. So, I mean, clearly there's a problem here when we see, you know, their attempts are failing. And Why? Because Americans are paying, and across the nation on average, like $6 a gallon of gas, which is insanely high. People are spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars to fill up their vehicle. Like, we've got bigger fish to fry, bigger things to pay attention to than January 6th. So we know that they are panicking over this, and they're really worried about getting the American people off of the economy. And that's why they've been trying so hard with this one. And you see, like, in the narratives, the way that the media pundits are talking about and referencing in this, they're all just kind of openly like, hey, you know, that are we really going to be able to pull the American people off the economy and get them back on January 6th? Or are we just going to be wasting our time, essentially, because we have such a big problem with the economy that no one's going to be looking at that? And they keep talking about, but when they're talking about this and openly talking about this amongst each other, it becomes very transparent that this whole thing that they're doing right now, and the reason they're even publicizing it, is because they're panicking and they want to sway people's minds for the midterms. They've talked about this openly. Media pundits, left-wing media pundits are talking about, are we going to get people to vote in the midterms and to turn up and vote when the Democrats are doing so horribly? You know, news crews have went out and interviewed people, Democrats, people that voted for Biden, and they're not happy. People are not happy about the current situation, the current economy. So this would be the time more than ever to really drive that home when you're talking to your friends, your family, your work associates, anyone, because you know these political conversations spark up. This is the time to really just talk to each other and spark up conversations like, hey, you know, we wouldn't be dealing with this had we, you know, made other choices, or, you know, elections have consequences. This is why it's important to vote, and just really drive that home. And you might actually find that many of the people you talk to agree with you and didn't even vote for Biden. And that's probably going to be a lot of what you find as well. I know it whenever I'm at the grocery store, I will like loudly comment. I know it's obnoxious, but I get infuriated, okay? I get infuriated when I go into there and I'm looking at like loaves of bread in the grocery store that are like $7, $8. I'm not even kidding you. Some bread is like really expensive at the grocery store. And I'm like, this is insane. This is not okay. And so I'll just blurt out like, thanks, Joe Biden. Thanks a lot, Joe Biden. Wow, $7 bread. Or when I'm at the gas pump. Well, thanks, Joe Biden. Thanks for the $6 a gallon gasoline. I don't say it loudly so other people hear me. I know some people look over at me like, who's this lady saying this stuff? But oftentimes I actually get people like that turn around and like thumbs up and like, yeah, you know, screw Joe Biden. Let's go, Brandon, right? So we need to just be communicating with each other. This is not the time to just give up and think that everything is going to fail and that the country is going to be like this forever and the country is just going to be destroyed. No, this is the time we actually really need to start pushing back. Because yes, we dealt with a lot of election fraud issues, and a lot of that was something that they were able to do because of COVID-19. I don't think they're going to be able to try that this time around. They can't keep milking COVID-19 forever to be able to justify putting all these mail-in drop box ballot things everywhere and to justify stretching out the mail-in ballots and the voting time period and the period in which they can count votes after election night. So we need to get mobilized. We need to start fighting back. We need to volunteer to go work as poll workers. If you look in your local area, research with your county, figure out what you can do to sign up to become a poll worker or even a poll watcher. You need to be there watching the vote counts, making sure you're participating in the voting process, because that's where they get us, is when we don't. And when they have all their people do, their union employees do it, that's when we have a problem. So I have hope in some way for this upcoming election. And a lot of that is watching how the Democrats are scrambling and panicking right now. It's really like showing and flagging weakness right now. They are weak. They are weak. Now is the time for us to be ready to start getting politically active again, going out, making sure people are turning up to vote. If we overwhelm them, we might have a chance. I know I've talked a lot about how they can use the predictive algorithms to know whether or not you voted, and how in doing so, that's how they can actually help rig the vote. Our devices spying on us all the time, picking up on our conversations, that type of information they have is very valuable. They look at what you like, what you don't like, what you comment, what you scroll past versus what you stay fixated on. Your phones literally scan your retinas to see how you're receiving something. They pick up on your voice when you're talking in your home. Okay, I can't tell you how many times I've been talking and all of a sudden Siri turns on, or Siri turns on the computer or the phone, and it's really creepy, and it'll auto dictate back some of what I said. So it listens to you. It's never just off, okay? So there are things that we can do. Obviously, in the short-term period, we have to use the phones. We have to use these tools in this modern day society period. So my best suggestion would be maybe limit some of that. Limit your social media activities, how much you're scrolling, how much you're just liking stuff. When you're not using your phone, maybe turn it off or put it on airplane mode. I mean, there's ways that you can try to cut down on that stuff. Maybe leave your phone with you. Don't take it every single place you go, per se, especially if you're going to go to vote. Maybe I would leave it on election night. Just simple things like that could help. Clearly, it could help because of the way they rig everything when they collect everyone's data and spy on us all. But those are things to do in the meantime. Obviously, we've got other ways that we're fighting back. We have solutions like the QUX TV boxes and the QUX network that we're building out. And QUX itself is working on cell phones. So stay tuned for that, guys, because we all are going to need private secure phones that can engage in private encrypted communications. All right, that's going to be really key. We don't want to be being spied on. A government does not have a right to infringe on our privacy. They have no right to do that. We have a right to privacy. And so if a private company decides that they want to make their mission to give you privacy, then I would take advantage of that to the fullest effect, because in this era and this day that we're in, we have to be more careful, and we really have to be careful as well for our kids. You know, the other day, my son, he's 7, he was asking me about, Mom, do you think it's okay and that I'm ready to do like a gaming video, like video gaming? Because he's really into gaming, okay? So he's like, do you think it'd be okay and that I would be ready to do live stream gaming? And I had to have this conversation with him, and I said, no, I don't think you're ready, because in this day and age, anything and everything you do, say, whatever, could be used against you in the future on social media. And so I, really as a parent, want to protect my child, protect his name, protect his image, what he does. And the best way to do that, honestly, I feel, is to limit your child's access to these devices, to the social media, to everything else, because they're building profiles on all of us. I don't want them building a profile on my child, for what? For future employers to use it against them or hold it against them, or future universities to hold it against them. That's the level that we are going to be dealing with. I mean, we see it now to some degree. We've seen people be canceled by cancel culture, where kids that worked their butts off to get into a good university, suddenly the university completely rejects them or kicks them out because of something they did on social media when they were much younger and in high school. So, and things that we know today that aren't even offensive, right, could be extremely offensive in the future to the woke mob, right? Many of the things that we see as, completely okay today might be considered as offensive, and vice versa. Like today, we're seeing how now things that in the past were seen as completely fine to joke about or fine to talk about or fine to say, now we're seeing how the woke mob will come and cancel you from your university or your job or your career over something you said years ago. So, and then of course people have to do these this revolting apology tours, right? Where they have to go on a tour on social media. I apologize. I've bettered myself as a person. I'm not who I used to be. All never apologize to the woke mob, okay? Never apologize to the woke mob, because it'll just destroy you more. And we've seen that happen with multiple people who've been canceled by cancel culture. So we can't even imagine how it will be in the future. Therefore, my whole, outlook on it is we really need to protect our children, and we really need to protect ourselves, because we're still going to be here in a couple decades, right? And so we need to make sure that, hey, everything I do on social media, online, even around my smart devices, is being tracked, picked up on, and who knows who they're selling it to. And who knows at what point that becomes legalized, in which health insurance companies, life insurance companies, vehicle insurance companies, whatever, they start using that and making your rates go up. Or these social credit score systems that they have. I mean, they literally have social credit score systems in China and other countries, okay? It's not far-fetched to think that we could see that in the future potentially here. We hope it doesn't come to that, but at the same time, we're in this battle right now, and we don't know which way things will go, okay? So it's better to be safer than sorry. So all the more reason to watch what you do, and make sure that you support tech companies like QUX, okay? Because QUX is at least trying to come up with this new network and solution for you all. Now, it's just a matter of, are you all going to get behind that? Are you going to support that? Do you guys want another solution? Do you want another option than the current grid that we've all been locked into? Okay? And it might be a little bit rougher in the beginning. We're starting fresh. We're building a new network. But is it better than the matrix, right? Is it better than the current matrix that we're in right now? I would say yes. I would say absolutely yes. We have to start somewhere, and QUX is starting with amazing results. We've got 1,000 test pilots plus already another 1,000 or so more people with boxes in hand. People have been putting up content on there, sharing content. New features are being unlocked. I mean, it's growing. It is definitely growing. So get on it and become part of the new network. And the more people we get on this new network, the better. And it's taking off. And I'm really excited about it, because we have the potential here to literally destroy what big tech is doing with this device. And at least if we can get enough people before the election in 2024 onto the QUX network and off of their network, right? Because you can't just tell everyone, go back to the Amish days, right? Don't have any electronics, because people need to be able to have those tools. So that's the whole reason for QUX, is so that we don't all have to just become Amish and just do away with all electronics. We could actually have something then that is safe, secure, doesn't track or store data. You have privacy. You can use it as a tool to communicate with each other, buy, sell, trade with each other, have encrypted transactions with each other, have a community to belong to communicate with, and to know that you're not being spied on some government agency when you're talking with your neighbors and talking with your friends and family. That's a wonderful thing, right? Like, we don't know who's all spying on us on these social media networks. So go to QUX.tv, guys. Check out the QUX boxes and get on there. Start making portals on there. This is the new future of tech right here. All right, the new future of tech. QUX.tv. Now, another thing I was actually thinking about the other day, my family and I, we took the kids to Nelson Ledges in Ohio, which is beautiful, okay? They've got these big, gorgeous rocks with moss all over them. I mean, it almost looks like something out of Jurassic Park or something. It's really beautiful. And when I was there, on the way there, I saw this Amish person riding on a buggy while we were on our way. Look, this is what it looks like. Isn't that beautiful? Big giant rocks. These pictures don't even really encapsulate how beautiful it was, but it's pretty much what it looks like there. All right. So on the way there was an Amish buggy with a horse pulling it. And I was thinking to myself, you know who's not affected by any of Biden's baloney with the gas prices, the food shortages? The Amish people. They are not affected. He's got his horse and his buggy, and he's not feeling it with the gas prices, that's for sure. And we know the Amish community, they have their own animals, their own livestock, chickens, eggs, milk. They've got their own little stores and marketplace in which they trade and buy and sell with each other. They are not being affected, okay? Because they're not having to rely heavily on stuff being imported. I mean, sure, to some degree, because of inflation, there's some effect for them. But clearly, they're not being quite as affected as all of us who have relied too much on the grid and the system, okay? Because we've relied on it, we aren't as self-sufficient and independent as they are. So we can learn something from the Amish. Clearly, we're not going to all become Amish and like start riding around on horses, but there's something to be learned here, which is we need to be less dependent on their system and their grid. That is what they're threatened by. They're threatened by people homesteading. They're threatened by people having their own gardens, having their own animals, their own chickens, trading and bartering amongst each other, right? And to some degree, bartering can be a way for also people to get around inflation to a degree and get around the creature from Jekyll Island. I don't know if you guys have read the G. Edward Griffin book, and about how there's the creature from Jekyll Island, the bankers, Federal Reserve, and how they rig things, essentially. How they make a lot of money off of inflation, while all of us suffer because of inflation. So, to some degree, there might be something there, right? How do you get away from the inflation? Well, we need to start working together, being self-sufficient, getting off of their grid. At least, to the very least, we won't be as affected by the food shortages, because telling you right now, I've not been seeing any of these crops growing food out here in Ohio. Like, they are not planting. They're not even planting. So with the way the food market has been right now, we've seen tons of birds being killed off because of avian flu outbreaks. Now we're seeing tons of cattle mysteriously dying. Meat cattle, mind you. What about the dairy cattle? Did we see a bunch of dairy cattle just drop dead also? I mean, it is odd that it was just these meat cattle that dropped dead and no other animals. That's what I find odd. So, anyway, guys, we got to figure something out. We got to work together as a community. And that's my favorite thing about QUX is in the Portal universe, people can literally build out their own marketplace on there. So while you're watching TV and watching some of the content that obviously gets banned off of the internet, right? You can literally be watching TV, not being spied on. No one can see what you're watching, who you're commenting on, liking, any of that. No one sees that except you. And so you're watching TV. Here comes an advertisement, which any small business can even run ads, okay? So it's different the way it's done. It's not the traditional sense in which how Google runs ads. They essentially spy on everyone, scrape everyone's data off of everything, including people's routers, everything, right? And then they plug it into their algorithms, and then that's why you're getting anything you search, like on Google or these search engines, somehow you're then being shoved ads in your face that pertain to things you might have searched or things you might have said in front of your phone, because it's all with terms based on spying on you. So the difference with QUX and the way its ad system is set up, which is entirely new, is it's different in that people pick their own ad experience, first of all. So you just get to pick what you want to watch ads for. Like, Because I actually realized I actually watch a lot of ads when I'm actually looking to get something, or if there's something I'm interested in. I've watched tons of like product reviews, people reviewing stuff, reviewing products, things I'm actually interested in. So if people can pick their ad experience, they actually want to watch ads, but for things that they want or are interested in and more likely to buy. So the way it's set up is people pick their ad experience and products, things they're interested in, right? And then that gets matched up with portals based on the demographics of what people have liked and how many of them watch that portal. Like, for example, I would have a portal. I would have my own channel on there, right? And so then I could get matched up with people who want to run ads. And this could be big companies that want to run ads and have ad accounts on there, ad account profiles. Or it could be small people, like small businesses, small mom and pops. I could even make my own advertiser account and run ads on other people's platforms for things that I want to pay to advertise, all right? It's really cool, the tools that are available and out there. And so in doing all of this, it opens up the door to where you don't have these gatekeeper advertisement companies, the big ad brokerages that are mainly the ones on these social media sites like YouTube, etc., that really push and pressure to censor people, right? Because they are just blanketly spraying ads across the whole thing based on what they're spying on you for. They're spying on you and they shove the ads at you. So they have to then turn off advertisement on my entire YouTube channel if they think that some of their advertisers don't like me and don't want to run ads on my platform. Meanwhile, there could be tons of other, conservative type promoting companies or companies that would want to run ads on my channel, YouTube channel, giving YouTube as an example, but they're missing out, right? And I'm missing out, which they want it to be that way. They've designed it that way. With QUX, you don't have to worry about that because the companies pick and choose who they want to run ads on, and I can pick and choose who I want to allow run ads on my videos. One of the things that would kind of bother me, really bother me actually, was when they were running ads on my YouTube videos. They'd be running all these like progressive ads on my YouTube videos. They'd be running Planned Parenthood ads on my videos. And that to me was annoying, and to a degree I found it disrespectful because I actually saw them running a Planned Parenthood ad on one of my YouTube videos where it was I was talking about my daughter and my baby, and it was a very pro-life video. And so, to me, I think it's important that creators also be able to choose who they want to allow run ads on their platforms. So it's a new way of doing things. It's more about freedom and people choosing what they want, choosing their own experience, which I think is key. Okay, definitely key. And it's also a new electronics company in that it has its own app store. All right, so aside from the Portal universe, it has its own app store. And aside from the app store, it's got its own operating system, its own hardware, software, everything, its own network, all tied in. They're all these boxes make like a big mesh network or a big grid where they're all connected. And information isn't just stored in one box per se, but maybe you could be watching a video and pieces of that video are being stored all across multiple devices, spread out in little bits all across, at the same time. So it's really interesting and new the way they're doing this. And the real thing here that's being built is a new internet. Okay? It is a new internet that runs parallel to our internet. So you can pull things in from our internet into this new net. But the cool thing is, in the new net, it's more secure, it's more private. And so you can look out into the existing internet, the World Wide Web, but it cannot look at you. So one example would be how you can pull content. So you can pull and scrape content from the internet, websites, YouTube, video, other platforms, and pull it into your portals and view it there. And then, we've done this where we looked at the analytics of YouTube videos we've pulled in to the portals and watched it tons and tons of times, and then you go and look at the YouTube video and see it has 0 views, and that they're not able to see us looking at that content there. So this is key. This is key. All right? So check it out, guys. You can obviously learn more about it on QUX.tv. But also, I would highly recommend going to Telegram, if you guys use Telegram, and signing up to be part of the QUX chat on there. It's called QUX Inc. chat. All right? So you can go on Telegram to check that out as well. Now, one other thing. I know that the economy and times are tough right now, guys. So make sure you use promo code Millie, MILLIE, when you shop at QUX.tv, because you can get a $15 off discount. Okay, so use promo code Millie when you're purchasing your QUX TV box. Also, you can support my journalism by going to millennialmillie.com. This is key. I need the support I can get, all the support I can get from you guys. There are shirts, hats, all of that stuff on there you could purchase that would support true journalism, my ability to report the news to you guys. We've got posters as well, stickers as well. And then also you could sign up on Twitch and subscribe there if you would like to subscribe and be able to watch my live show whenever it is available. So this is obviously cached, but you can see that I'm on here live right now via Twitch, which I will go live on Twitch Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you can watch it obviously for free at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on my website, millennialmillie.com. You can watch it for free while it's live. So as long as you tune in at 5 p.m. or around 5 p.m., you will get to watch the show while it's live, and you don't have to subscribe. But if you want to watch it on your own time or not when it's live, then if you subscribe on Twitch, you'll be able to watch it at any time or go back and replay it or things like that. Plus, you could always gift subs on there. If you guys are on Twitch right now, if you would like to gift subs to other people so that people can have the ability to be subscribed and watch whenever they want, that's also an awesome way to support and help make sure other people can get the news and get true information. And so that would be another wonderful way to help support my ability to continue to do this work, this very important work. I really do need your guys' support, guys. I'm just saying. I've been demonetized. I've been cut off in almost every facet and ability to make money online or on social media. They have really tried to shut me down. So I do need your guys' support in order to be able to continue to do this work that I do. And, you know, I know everyone's struggling right now. So also, if you can't, please share articles, share videos. You could share this YouTube video and try to get around their algorithms by getting the information out. Please remember to hit the like button, hit the share button on the content you're watching right now, because that is a free way that you guys could help support my ability to continue doing journalism just by getting the information out there, which is key, guys. It's key. Some of the stuff we discuss, other people could learn about it. It could open their minds, and we could change the future. We don't have to go into this woke, tyrannical paradigm that they're all trying to put us into. All that's going to take is getting information out to people and spreading the truth. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the show today, and we will be back again on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for the Millennial Millie Show. I'm Millie.